Hello, everyone. This is Robert Landau, Live Life Well TV host, and here is another episode of a trivia show called Did You Know? It's just an assemblance of some real fun trivia, most of which I suspect you did not know before. So with that said, let's begin. You ready? I am. Here's the first one. Did you know, folks, that Disney's The Lion King was actually inspired by the Shakespeare play Hamlet? Did you know that the world's largest cat happens to be a Siberian tiger, and it's pretty large? Did you know that a slug has no less than 4 noses? Did you know that the only mammal able to fly happens to be does anybody know? A bat. A bat. Did you know, folks, that talc is the softest mineral found in all of nature? Did you know that 48 teaspoons happen to equal 1 cup? Did you know that the very first feature-length film ever broadcast on TV happens to have been and still is one of my favorites? Maybe one of yours too. The Wizard of Oz. The exact date of that first feature-length film broadcast on TV was November 3rd, 1956. I don't know about you when you raised your kids, but in my household, every year at Christmas, we would watch The Wizard of Oz on broadcast TV. And I'll tell you something, that witch used to scare the heck out of me. And you know, I just saw some clips of that masterpiece, really iconic masterpiece, on YouTube the other day. And let me tell you something, Margaret Hamilton as that witch is still frightening to this day. Think how far the fine art of motion pictures has come since The Wizard of Oz was made. But I'll tell you something, no special effects with her, just green makeup and a long nose. But boy, the acting skills that she had were amazing. That movie is just incredible. Did you know that the very first television commercial aired in 1941 and happened to have been a commercial for Bulova watches? Did you know that the horse on Mr. Ed, that TV show, Mr. Ed, of course had a real name, and that horse's real name was Bamboo Harvester? Did you know, folks, that Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, and Kurt Cobain all died at 27 years of age? Did you know that there's an instrument in a symphony orchestra that can play the highest note? Of course, there would be an instrument in the symphony orchestra that can play the highest note, but my question to you is, do you know what it is? Any guesses? Maybe you think it's the piccolo, but it ain't. It is actually the violin. Did you know that Shirley Temple was the youngest person to ever have been presented with an Academy Award? And the year that that happened to Miss Little Shirley was 1934, when Shirley was all of 6 years of age. Did you know that Clark Gable and Marilyn Monroe's final film appearances were in a film together? You know what that film was? I bet some of you do. It was 1961's The Misfits. the Misfits. Did you know that the person who has won the most Academy Awards is Walt Disney? Walt Disney. Did you know that the very first issue of National Geographic magazine was published in 1888? I wonder if any collectors still have that issue. I bet some do. I bet it's in the Smithsonian too. I bet. Did you know that Maine is the only U.S. state that has a one-syllable name? Did you know that Maine is also the only U.S. state that borders just one other state? Did you know that William Howard Taft was the last U.S. president to have facial hair? Ha! Did you know that Jimmy Carter was the first U.S. president to be born in a hospital? Did you know that William Henry Harrison was the only U.S. president that never, ever signed a bill into law? Did you know that Ohio is the state that is the birthplace of most U.S. presidents? Keeping with the theme of presidents for the next few moments, did you know that John Adams was the first president to ever live in the White House? Did you know that Richard Nixon was the very first president to visit all of our 50 states? Which brings us to the final two questions in this episode of Did You Know? The second to last one goes like this. Did you know that there are no less than 27 bones in your hand? You want to count them? I'll wait. Go ahead. I'm waiting. And here's the last and final Did You Know for you. Did you know, folks, that Douglas Fairbanks Sr. had a superhero that was modeled after him? And that superhero was Superman. So, big question here. Did you have a good time? Did you learn a couple of things? And was it fun? And you better have said yes to all three of those questions. But you know what? If you didn't, I will, because I certainly did, as I hope you did. And with that said, thank you so much for joining me again. This has been Robert Landau, Live Life Well TV host, with another episode of Did You Know? See you next time.